Hi, everyone. Welcome back to English Podcast Talk. I'm Mia.
And I'm Daniel. We're so happy to see you again. On this channel, we help you practice real English for everyday life.
Yes, if you like our videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us a lot.
Today, we're going to talk about something very useful, how to talk about your weekend in English. This is a common conversation topic and perfect for practicing past tense, hobbies, and describing your feelings.
That's right. Daniel, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. On Saturday, I went hiking in the mountains. It was tiring but fun, and I felt happy and energetic. On Sunday, I stayed at home, read a book, and watched a movie. How about you, Mia?
My weekend was busy but fun. On Saturday, I went shopping with my friend. We found some really nice clothes and tried a few new restaurants. On Sunday, I spent time with my family. We played board games and even baked a cake together. I felt happy, relaxed, and a little excited.
Great. Notice how we used past tense verbs like went, spent, watched, read, and played. These verbs are essential when talking about what you did over the weekend.
Exactly. Let's practice some common weekend verbs together. Repeat after us. Went, visited, spent, watched, read, played, cooked, met, listened, drew.
And let's try making full sentences. I went to the park on Saturday.
I visited my grandparents.
I spent time with my friends.
I watched a movie.
I read a new book.
I played football with my friends.
I cooked dinner for my family.
I met my friend for coffee.
I listened to music.
I drew a picture.
Perfect. Now let's combine activities with feelings. For example, I went hiking and felt tired but happy. Or, I read a book and felt relaxed.
Let's practice with some examples. I'll say an activity and you tell me the feeling. I watched a funny movie.
I felt amused and entertained.
I went to a crowded market.
I felt tired and a little stressed.
I cooked a new recipe.
I felt proud because it turned out really well.
Sometimes our weekend plans don't go as expected. For example, I planned to go to the beach, but it rained all day. I felt disappointed, but still happy because I spent time reading a good book indoors.
Oh yes, that happens to me too. Last Sunday, I wanted to go hiking, but my car wouldn't start. I felt frustrated at first, but then I went for a short walk nearby and felt relaxed.
Talking about unexpected events makes your weekend stories more natural. You can use words like disappointed, frustrated, surprised, excited, tired, happy, relaxed to describe your feelings.
Let's do a mini exercise. I'll say a situation and you think about your feeling. You planned a picnic, but it rained.
I would feel disappointed, but I could also feel calm if I stayed home and played board games.
You met your friend for coffee and they brought a surprise gift.
I would feel surprised and happy.
You went hiking and fell in the mud.
I would feel frustrated and tired at first, but later maybe a little amused. Another tip is to use frequency words like always, usually, sometimes, rarely, and never. They help describe routines. For example, I always visit my grandparents on weekends. I usually go hiking on Saturdays. I sometimes watch movies on Sunday evening. I rarely go shopping on Sundays. I never wake up early on Saturdays, but I do on weekdays.
You can also use phrases like on Saturdays I usually blank, or on Sundays I like to blank, or every weekend I try to blank.
For example, on Saturdays, I usually go hiking, or every weekend I try to spend time with my family.
Hobbies are a great way to describe your weekend. You can say, I played basketball, or I painted a picture, or I listened to music, or I cooked something new, or I met my friends at a cafe.
Let's practice mini dialogues. Hi, Daniel. How was your weekend?
Hi, Mia. It was good. I went hiking on Saturday and read a book on Sunday. I felt happy and relaxed. How about you?
I went shopping on Saturday and spent Sunday with my family. I felt excited and relaxed.
Perfect.
Great! Now let's add more details to make our weekend stories even more interesting. For example, we can talk about where we went and who we were with.
Yes, instead of just saying, I went shopping, you can say, I went shopping with my friend at the new mall downtown. It gives more information and makes your story more vivid.
Exactly. Or instead of, I watched a movie, you could say, I watched a comedy movie with my brother on Sunday evening. See, it sounds more natural.
And you can combine it with your feelings. For example, I watched a comedy movie with my brother and I felt happy and relaxed.
Let's practice some examples together. I'll give a basic sentence and you add details and feelings. I went to the park.
I went to the park with my friends in the morning and I felt energetic and excited.
Perfect. Now, I read a book.
I read a mystery book at home on Sunday afternoon and I felt curious and relaxed.
Good. Another tip, you can use adjectives to describe your weekend. Words like beautiful, fun, tiring, relaxing, exciting, boring, amazing, and frustrating.
For example, I went hiking and the view was beautiful. I felt amazed and happy.
Or, I cleaned my room. It was tiring, but I felt proud afterwards.
Another useful trick is to use sequencing words. Words like first, then, after that, finally, and later. These words help you tell a story step by step.
For example, first I went shopping with my friend. Then we had lunch at a small cafe. After that, we walked around the park. Finally, I went home and felt very happy.
Sequencing words make your story easy to follow. Viewers and listeners can understand the order of events clearly.
Now, let's practice interactive sentences. I'll say an event and you add details, sequencing words, and feelings. I cooked dinner.
First, I bought ingredients at the supermarket. Then, I prepared the vegetables. After that, I cooked the chicken. Finally, I set the table and felt proud and satisfied.
Excellent. Another example. I went to the beach.
First, I packed my bag and sunscreen. Then, I traveled to the beach with my family. After that, we swam in the water and built a sandcastle. Finally, we ate ice cream and I felt happy and relaxed.
Perfect. Now let's talk about weekend challenges or small problems. These make your story more interesting and realistic.
Yes, for example, I planned to go hiking, but it rained. I felt disappointed, but I stayed home and read a book, which was relaxing.
Or, I wanted to meet my friends for coffee, but the cafe was closed. I felt frustrated at first, but then we walked to another cafe and had a great time.
Talking about challenges shows you can use different words for feelings like disappointed, frustrated, surprised, relieved, worried, nervous, amused.
Let's do a quick interactive exercise. I'll say a situation and you try to make a full sentence using past tense, feelings, and maybe sequencing words.
Okay, let's try.
You wanted to watch a movie, but the tickets were sold out.
I wanted to watch a movie on Saturday evening, but the tickets were sold out. I felt disappointed, but later I watched another movie at home and felt happy.
Excellent. Now, you went running, but it started to rain.
I went running in the park on Sunday morning, but it started to rain. I felt frustrated at first, but then I ran back home and drank hot chocolate, which made me feel relaxed.
Very good. Another tip for weekend stories is to talk about routines versus special events. You can use phrases like, on weekends, I usually, sometimes I, one special weekend I.
For example, on weekends, I usually read a book or watch TV. Sometimes I go hiking. One special weekend, I went camping with my friends, and it was amazing.
Or, On weekends, I usually clean my room. Sometimes I visit my grandparents. One special weekend, I went to a music festival with my family, and I felt very excited and happy.
Another tip is combine hobbies and feelings. I played football with my friends and I felt energetic and happy. Or I painted a picture and I felt creative and relaxed.
Let's practice that now. I'll give a hobby, and you make a sentence with past tense and feelings. I baked a cake.
I baked a chocolate cake on Sunday morning and I felt proud and happy because it tasted really good.
Very nice. I listened to music.
I listened to my favorite songs on Saturday evening and I felt relaxed and amused.
Excellent. Using hobbies, sequencing words, feelings, and details makes your weekend stories rich and natural.
Before we move on, let's do a quick vocabulary review. Repeat after us. Beautiful, fun, tiring, relaxing, exciting, boring, amazing, frustrating, disappointed, proud, happy, relaxed, energetic.
Try to make one sentence with at least two of these words about your weekend. For example, I went hiking and it was tiring but amazing.
Or, I played basketball and I felt energetic and happy.
Great! That's a good way to start practicing longer, natural weekend stories in English. Now that we've talked about simple weekend activities and feelings, let's make our conversations even more natural by adding real-life expressions people use. These expressions make your English sound smoother and more fluent.
Yes, for example, native speakers often say things like, I slept in, I took a break, I had a busy weekend, I hung out with friends, I caught up on sleep, I got some fresh air. These phrases are very common.
Let's practice how to use them in sentences. If I say, I slept in, it means I woke up late, so I can say, I slept in on Sunday because I was very tired after a busy week.
Exactly. And I hung out with friends means you spent time with them, usually doing something fun. For example, I hung out with my friends at the mall and we laughed a lot.
Another great phrase is, I took a break. You can say, I took a break from studying and watched a movie. It sounds natural and easy.
Let's try a quick exercise. I'll say a phrase and you make a sentence with it. First phrase, caught up on sleep.
Okay. I caught up on sleep on Saturday morning because I was so exhausted. Your turn, viewers. Try to make your own sentence.
Nice. Next phrase, had a busy weekend.
I had a busy weekend because I had to clean my house, visit my family, and finish some work.
Great. The next expression is got some fresh air.
I went for a walk in the park and got some fresh air. It made me feel relaxed.
These are simple expressions, but they make a big difference in your storytelling.
Now, let's talk about specific places people visit on weekends. The mall, park, beach, cafe, movies, restaurants, markets, sports fields, or even just staying home.
Yes, and you can describe these places with adjectives. For example, the cafe was cozy, the beach was crowded, the park was peaceful, the market was noisy but exciting, the restaurant was expensive but delicious.
Using adjectives helps listeners imagine the scene. For example, I went to a cozy cafe and drank hot coffee. I felt warm and relaxed.
Or, I went to the mall on Saturday, but it was too crowded. I felt stressed, so I left early.
Let's practice together. I'll give a place and you describe it using an adjective and a feeling. The park.
The park was peaceful and I felt calm.
Good. The restaurant.
The restaurant was expensive, but I felt happy because the food was amazing.
Excellent. Now let's talk about something fun, weekend surprises. Sometimes your weekend doesn't go as planned, in a good way.
Yes, surprises can make your story more interesting. For example, I planned to stay home, but my cousin visited me unexpectedly. I felt surprised and excited.
Or, I went to the market for vegetables, but I found a great sale on clothes. I felt lucky.
You can use phrases like unexpectedly, suddenly, out of nowhere, or surprisingly.
Let's give some examples. Suddenly, it started to rain and I had no umbrella.
Out of nowhere, my friends called me to invite me to dinner.
Unexpectedly, the cafe gave free cookies. I was so happy.
Your turn. Imagine a weekend surprise. Try to make a sentence using unexpectedly or suddenly.
Weekend stories become even more natural when you talk about small mistakes or funny moments. Everyone has them.
For example, I forgot my wallet at home, so I had to walk back. It was tiring but funny.
Or, I burned my pancake on Sunday morning, but I made another one and it tasted great.
Or this one. I spilled coffee on my shirt, so I had to change again. I felt embarrassed but laughed about it.
Talking about mistakes shows you can use natural, everyday English, and you can express feelings like embarrassed, amused, surprised, relieved.
Let's do a quick interactive challenge. I'll give the situation and you create a full sentence. You lost your house keys for 10 minutes.
I'll go first. I lost my house keys for 10 minutes and I felt worried, but then I found them in my bag and felt relieved.
Great. Viewers, your turn. Say it out loud.
Here's another situation. You tried to cook something new, but it tasted bad.
I tried a new recipe on Saturday, but it tasted terrible. I felt disappointed, but also amused because it looked funny.
See? Mistakes make your story more interesting.
Before we move on, let's review some weekend vocabulary. Repeat after us. Slept in. Took a break. Hung out. Caught up on sleep. Cozy. Crowded. Peaceful. Noisy. Expensive. Surprising. Relieved. Amused. Embarrassed.
Try to use at least 3 of these words in one weekend sentence. For example, I slept in on Sunday, went to a peaceful park, and felt relaxed.
Great job! Let's keep going and make your weekend English even more natural.
Now let's help our viewers talk about their weekend in a clear order so their story sounds organized and easy to understand.
Yes, this is very important. When you tell someone about your weekend, it's helpful to use time words like first, then, after that, later, finally, or in the end.
These words guide the listener. For example, I can say, first, I cleaned my room. Then I went shopping. After that, I met my friend for coffee.
That sounds smooth and natural. Without time words, the story can feel confusing.
Let's practice together. I'll describe my Saturday using time words. First, I woke up late and had a slow breakfast. Then I did some housework. After that, I went out for lunch. Later, I watched a movie at home. Finally, I went to bed early.
Very clear. Now I'll try. On Sunday, first I went for a walk. Then I visited my parents. After that, we cooked dinner together. Later, I watched TV. In the end, I felt relaxed and happy.
Viewers, now it's your turn. Try to say one sentence starting with first or then. Say it out loud if you can.
Great. Now let's talk about asking questions about someone's weekend because conversations are two-way.
Yes. Instead of only saying, how was your weekend, you can ask more interesting questions.
For example, what did you do on the weekend? Did you do anything fun? Did you stay home or go out? Who did you spend time with? How did it make you feel?
Let's role play. Daniel, ask me about my weekend.
Sure. Mia, how was your weekend?
It was nice and relaxing.
That's good. What did you do?
On Saturday, I stayed home and cleaned my apartment. On Sunday, I met my cousin for lunch.
Sounds productive. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, especially Sunday. I felt happy and relaxed.
Perfect. That's a complete, natural conversation.
Now, let's help viewers talk about boring or quiet weekends because not every weekend is exciting.
Very true, and boring weekends are completely normal.
You can say things like, I didn't do much. It was a quiet weekend. I mostly stayed at home. I just rested.
For example, I didn't do much this weekend. I stayed home, cooked simple food, and watched videos. It was boring, but I felt rested.
Nicely done. Viewers, try to make your own sentence using I didn't do much or it was a quiet weekend.
Now, let's talk about busy weekends because many people are very busy.
Yes, you can say, I had a busy weekend. I had a lot to do. I was busy but productive.
For example, I had a busy weekend. I cleaned my house, did my laundry, and finished my work.
Or, I was busy but I felt proud because I finished everything.
Busy weekends are tiring, so you can add feelings like tired, exhausted, satisfied.
Let's practice another short dialogue. Daniel, how was your weekend?
It was busy.
Why was it busy?
I had many errands and family plans.
That's perfect. Simple but clear.
Now let's help viewers talk about plans that didn't go well.
Yes, because not every plan works.
You can say, I planned to, but I wanted to, but I was going to, but,
For example, I planned to go to the beach, but it rained.
or I wanted to sleep early, but I stayed up watching a movie.
Let's practice. I'll give you the start and you finish it. I planned to go out, but... I planned to go out, but I felt tired, so I stayed home.
Nice. Viewers, your turn. Finish the sentence.
Before we continue, let's quickly review some useful phrases. Repeat after us. First, then, after that, finally, I didn't do much, I had a busy weekend, I stayed home, I planned to, but.
Try to use at least 2 of these phrases when you talk about your next weekend.
You're doing great. Let's keep building your confidence and make your weekend conversations even smoother. Before we finish, let's help our viewers feel confident talking about their weekend in different situations, like at work, with friends, or with new people.
That's a great idea, because the way you talk about your weekend can change depending on who you're speaking with.
For example, at work, you usually keep it short and polite. You can say, my weekend was good, I rested and spent time with my family.
Or, it was nice, I didn't do much, but I feel refreshed. That sounds professional and friendly.
With friends, you can be more relaxed and detailed. You might say, my weekend was amazing. I went out, tried a new restaurant, and stayed up late talking.
And with someone you just met, simple answers are best. For example, it was good. I mostly stayed home and relaxed.
Let's role play 3 short conversations. First, at work.
Okay. Hi, Mia. How was your weekend?
It was good, thanks. I rested and prepared for the week.
Perfect. Short and polite.
Now with friends.
Hey, Mia. How was your weekend?
It was great. I met some friends, watched a movie, and laughed a lot.
Much more relaxed. And now with someone new. Hi, how was your weekend?
It was nice. I stayed home and relaxed.
Excellent. Simple and comfortable.
Now, let's help viewers talk about their weekend using past tense verbs, because this is very important.
Yes, when we talk about the weekend, we usually use the past simple. For example, went, ate, watched, slept, visited, met.
Let's practice some sentences. I went to the park. I watched a movie. I ate pizza. I met my friends.
Viewers, repeat after us if you can. Now, let's do a small correction exercise. I'll say a sentence and Mia will correct it. I go to the mall yesterday.
The correct sentence is, I went to the mall yesterday.
Good. Next one. I watched TV last night.
I watched TV last night.
Very nice. Viewers, try correcting these sentences in your head.
Another helpful tip is adding small details like time or place. For example, on Saturday evening, I watched a movie at home.
Or on Sunday morning, I went for a walk in the park.
These details make your story sound complete.
Now, let's do one final practice. Viewers, try to say a full sentence using this pattern. On Saturday, Sunday, plus time, plus activity, plus feeling.
For example, on Sunday afternoon, I visited my family and felt happy.
Great example. Try your own now.
Before we say goodbye, let's quickly review what we practiced today.
We learned how to talk about our weekend using simple past verbs.
We practiced common weekend activities like resting, going out, cleaning, visiting family, and hanging out with friends.
We learned useful expressions like slept in, took a break, had a busy weekend, didn't do much.
We talked about feelings like relaxed, tired, happy, stressed, proud, and disappointed.
We also practiced asking and answering questions to keep the conversation going.
And most importantly, we learned that you don't need a perfect weekend to talk about it well.
Exactly. Even a simple weekend is good English practice.
Now it's time for our question of the day.
Here it is. What did you do last weekend and how did you feel?
Try to write 1 or 2 sentences in the comments.
Don't worry about mistakes. The goal is practice.
You can write something simple like, I stayed home and felt relaxed.
Or something longer, like on Saturday I met my friends and on Sunday I rested. I felt happy but tired.
We love reading your answers.
And we're very proud of you for learning English with us.
Thank you so much for spending your time here.
Keep practicing a little every day.
We'll see you in the next video.
Bye for now and have a great week.